kiss of the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Enough! You can see by this just how straight my direction is. River Gulch is where I started, this is where I am now, and look where I'm going. Where? Hollywood and Vine!
You the replacement for the bass and sax?
That's us, and I'm Daphne. This is Josephine.
I'm Sugar Cane.
Hi.
Sugar Cane?
Yeah, I changed. It used to be Sugar Kowalczyk.
You Polish?
Yes. I come from this musical family. My mother's a piano teacher, my father was a conductor.
Where did he conduct?
On the Baltimore and Ohio.
Marilyn's stardom was such that today a number of myths surround her life and death. In a new book called Marilyn Monroe, The Biography, author Donald Spoto attempts to separate fact from fiction, but in the process he's made some claims that are the stuff of headlines. Mr. Spoto, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me start with that headline, and then we'll work backwards a little bit. You claim that when Marilyn died in '62, she was planning to remarry Joe DiMaggio, and what do you base that?
We have all the evidence for it, Bryant. She had her wedding dress fitted. She had ordered the food and wine from her local emporium. She had told a small crew of friends. She and Joe had ordered the airline tickets for Wednesday night.
The first marriage they had, the footage we're looking at in '54, had reportedly been a struggle. Why did she want to remarry him?
8 years had passed. Both of them had grown considerably, and a friendship had, in fact, emerged during very trying times of her life.
And so you have no doubt that she was committed to this, and she was going to go to the altar once again?
No question. And I think it was really, they were going to make a go of it. They were going to make a go of it very seriously.
Okay, let's talk about some of the stories that people view as gospel. That she was the plaything of the Kennedys, that she slept with JFK and Bobby and was in love with Bobby when she died.
This is, as the great writer Ben Hecht used to say, a lot of hooey. It's absolute rubbish.
She didn't sleep with him?
Marilyn Monroe never had an affair with Robert Kennedy. What we can document very firmly is that they met on 4 social occasions, always in the presence of a number of other people. But there isn't a single shred of credible evidence nor a single credible witness to the fact that there was any intimacy between them. And how do we establish this, Brian? We line up on one side of a page the whereabouts of Robert Kennedy during his tenure as Attorney General, and on the other side of the page we can line up where Marilyn Monroe was. It's very difficult to conduct an affair from 8,000 miles distance.
What about JFK?
JFK and Marilyn also met socially on 4 times, and on one of those occasions they shared a bedroom at the home of Bing Crosby in Palm Springs, Saturday, March 25th, 1962.
So it was a one-night stand, you're saying?
If you want to call it that, yeah.
Another story some view as gospel. She was in deep to the mob.
She had absolutely no connection to the mob at all. That's another item for which there isn't a single shred of evidence. In fact, quite the contrary. I spoke to people who knew members of the mob socially. It's all set forth in the book. She was never seen with them. She never had anything to do with them.
Her death. You claim it was inadvertently caused by her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, and her psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, who you say conspired to control her. How'd they wind up killing her?
The death was a terrible, tragic accident, the result of a rectal infusion, an enema, if you will, of chloral hydrate, sometimes called knockout drops or Mickey Finn drops.
Let's set the record straight real quick. I mean, she took enemas a lot of times to control her weight.
Yes,
so this was not uncommon. Okay,
that's
go
right.
ahead.
That's right. What she was given was a dosage of chloral hydrate, as the toxicology report shows. As the toxicology report shows, with this vastly discolored and purplish colon, which, as Dr. Noguchi and Dr. Miner have begged over the years, must be taken into consideration. She was killed as a result of a massive, I should not say she was killed. Killed, murderer are words I never use in this book. But she died as a result of a massive infusion of this drug, which interfered with the absorption and metabolizing of Nembutal.
Did Greenson and Murray know that it would have that effect on her?
Well, the doctor was a doctor. I mean, he had...
So why don't you call it murder then?
He had been... Because murder is a word that only a coroner's inquest can use. He's dead now, and we can't have that kind of investigation. What we can do, what the biographer can do, is to set forth precisely what happened and give it a context. Certainly he was obsessive about this woman. They had a tangled and complex relationship from which she was trying desperately to extricate herself. In fact, she had made a decision to dismiss him, as she had dismissed the housekeeper.
You say they conspired to to control her. How do we define control in this case?
Well, all one has to do really is look at the kind of conduct that they exerted. Both of them systematically attempted to sever Marilyn Monroe from all of her other close friendships. They asked her, in fact required her, the doctor required her to dismiss some of her closest friends. Ralph Roberts, for example, a man who was like a brother to her, said, you know, there's only room for one Ralph in your life, and that's me. We have this direct from Marilyn herself. This is a tactic of a psychiatrist that is dangerous in a therapeutic relationship and absolutely lethal in any other. So it's a tangled and difficult and dreadful relationship to try to chronicle.
Another claim, she had problems and was addicted to drugs and booze.
Marilyn Monroe was not an alcoholic. In fact, she could not take strong drink. She could take an occasional sip of champagne. She was one of these people, in fact, who reacted very badly to liquor. She was not a pill-popping addict. She never took amphetamines, for example, uppers. She had a problem with sleeping pills, as did and do many people, indeed, in Hollywood. What needs to be said is that Marilyn Monroe was a decent and honorable woman who was not a woman of easy virtue, and as a matter of fact, who was never a sexual plaything to be passed around for anyone. This, I think, has to do with male sexual fantasies about a beautiful, sexy blonde, believing that she can't possibly be any good or any, you know, decent human being. In fact, she was witty. In fact, she was intelligent. She was loyal. She spent her whole life making a series of moves in which she tried to better herself, to struggle against a difficult childhood and against almost impossible odds of being typecast as a sex symbol in Hollywood.
And it should be noted you didn't begin this as a fan, even though you wound up one.
Right.
The book is Marilyn Monroe, the biography.